When a brand has done that, I've been 100% polite and just said, listen, things have just sort of steamrolled and I've just ran with it. A lot. A lot. Especially lately. It took me 3.5 hours.
Welcome back to Creator Calls, where I get some of my favourite creators to invite us in and share a bit of their YouTube journey with us. This week we have Michael's Tech Talk with over 4,000 subscribers and nearly 2 million views. Michael brings us closer to the newest tech and the accessories that you might need. I really want to ask you about these accessories and working with brands, so stick around and don't miss out on that. So Michael, welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me. To be honest, I didn't really... When you said out those things at the start, I was like, he's not talking about my channel.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So yeah, just when you hear other people saying it, and you go, whoa.
Yeah, you don't really look back at your numbers, and then when you can take like a step back and have a good look, you realise how much you've actually achieved. But speaking of what you've achieved, there's only one place to start. You've done 9 videos in the last 10 days. So how tired are you feeling right now?
So. To be honest, I don't know how. Things have just sort of steamrolled and I've just ran with it. So and I've been pretty fortunate as well to have a bit more time on my hands at the moment with the likes of the way my work schedule and all is at the minute. So I'm just sort of like smash, and just try and get as much content out. And then what I used to do was I used to do a bulk record kind of thing. So I would maybe do a lot of recording in a day, and then I'd be thinking, right, that's maybe the next 2 weeks worth of content, give or take. And then for some reason I've just sort of thought, frig it. So I've just been posting near enough every day because I thought, wait, might as well, because at the moment, touch wood, YouTube seems to be pushing my channel out, so I'm sort of just in the mindset of, well, if it's going to be like that, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah,
so,
make the most of it. You never know when it's going away, when things are going to change.
Exactly.
For anyone that hasn't seen your channel then, how would you describe it? Like, what do you cover?
Well, it's just a guy talking about tech and accessories. I think is the easiest way to try and describe it. That's kind of... I always... When I started my channel, I've been a big fan of a lot of tech creators in the space. So when I started my channel, I always used to watch the likes of... Obviously, everybody watches the likes of Marquez, Marquez, John Prosser, all the big guys, like Judd from Your Average Consumer. And Judd especially was one of the guys where I was always like, I kind of feel like I'm kind of like that guy, because he just loves everything. He just loves everything that's tech and accessories, and he'll do these big mass unboxings, and I'm just like, oh, that's so cool. Like he'll pull out something random, and I'll be like, that's so cool. And I always used to say to people, I would love to do that someday. And it was a guy I used to work with, and this was sort of leading up towards COVID, and I was like, I was telling him about this guy that I watched on YouTube and all, and blah blah blah, and he was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. He says, you're very very passionate about that, and I was like, yeah, I would love to do that sort of thing. And he just turned around to me and he went, well, why don't you?
Yeah, what's stopping you? That's the big question that everybody has to ask.
Yeah, and at that point I was like, yeah, why don't I? And it was literally like a penny dropped. And then when we went into lockdown and stuff, I was kind of, as we all were, we're all sitting at home and buying stuff on Amazon, and and then I was like, why not? So I did my first couple of videos, which were absolutely atrocious. They were awful, and as everybody's videos are when they first start, when they first hit that record button, you sort of look back and you go, ooh, why did anybody click that subscribe button? But yeah, and it's just snowballed on from there. So it sort of got to a point where when I first started doing tech reviews, so I would like do like a phone review, and then obviously the views would just, and then I would feel a bit disheartened and all that sort of stuff. And then the easiest thing for me was not to take it personally, because you're going up against channels that are, mega businesses. When you think about it, these guys are getting their hands on devices, and they're having these devices maybe months before release and before embargoes drop and all that kind of thing. So they have their content ready to drop on the day. So that's the sort of thing you're competing with. So I sort of transitioned then more into accessories, because I kind of had it in my head, when I buy a phone, I'm not sure about you, but when I buy a phone, the first thing I go is, right, I need a case, I need a charger, I need a thing for the car, I need this, I need this, I need this. And then the more I sort of thought about it, it was like, well, if I'm looking for this, I'm sure other people are looking for them. So...
Yeah. Especially the car stuff. The amount of times that you buy something and it isn't right for your car, like reviews on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like going back a little bit, the first channel that I subscribed to was Unbox Therapy back in the days when it wasn't just tech. It was just like weird stuff that you could find, like a drinks cup that didn't fall over and stuff like that. And I thought, this looks like a lot of fun. And then it steamrolls and you get involved yourself.
Yeah.
But back to accessories then. Is this right now like the peak time for accessories, or is it pretty steady throughout the year, YouTube views wise?
Well, to be honest, when it comes to tech, especially smartphones, everything is seasonal. So you'll have your Samsung releases, and then your Pixel releases, and your iPhone releases, and that kind of thing. So that's typically when people are looking for, especially cases. People are looking for cases for getting a new phone, need a new case, because cases will never fit the new phone, so you need a new case. But accessories is more a thing that you can kind of do anytime, because it's always something that people will always look for. So say if you have a charging stand or something like that, and then it breaks, well, you can go and look anytime and go, right, I need to go and find a new one. And that's where your content comes in. So
yeah, funnily enough, that's how I found your videos, the Balkan 3-in-1 MagSafe charger.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't the video on its own. I think it was like five different chargers. That's how I came across your videos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Must be doing something right then.
Yeah. In a lot of these videos then, you are like saying thank you to the brands for sending out these accessories. Do you remember the first brand that sent something out to you?
Now you're asking me.
If you can't remember that, is there any that like really stood out to you that you were like, oh, I can't believe these are sending me something out?
It was the first brand. Do you know what? I think the first brand to send me something, I think, was a set of headphones. I think it was a set of one audio over ear headphones.
Oh yeah.
I think it was the first thing, because I'll be honest, a lot of the stuff I was just buying it, and then it turns into a very expensive hobby. When you're sort of looking around, going, "Oh my god, look at all the stuff I bought."
It soon racks up as well.
It does. So from sort of starting off when you sort of get brands reaching out to you as well, especially when you're a small channel, you're sort of thinking, oh, wow, yes, I want to review your product, and I don't mean this to sound bad or distasteful, but there is a lot of rubbish out there. There really is. So, some brands will send you out some stuff and you're going, I can't even show that on the channel, because if I show that on the channel, people will be like, what is this? So I've tried to maintain a bit of credibility when it comes to, accessories and that kind of thing. By all means, there is definitely bargains to be had and found for good tech and good accessories out there, but there has to be a level of quality. And when I get stuff sent out to me, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that looks really good, and I'll maybe check it out beforehand. And then there's other things where you sort of go, I can't possibly show that, because one, nobody will watch it, nobody will buy it, and then that'll do more harm than good, because then that's where you go, well, don't watch that guy, he just shows crap, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know about yourself, but I got offered quite a lot of fake stuff. So it wasn't like knockoff AirPods. It was it was the AirPods box. It was the AirPods everything. It's like, well, I don't want
genuine
this.
replica AirPods.
Yeah. That was a genuine replica. It was like, that's not a thing. That's not real.
Thankfully, I don't think I've ever been asked to review any fake products. And if any emails like that ever came in, they probably went straight into my junk anyway. So I've probably never ever seen them. So maybe it worked out for the best, but I've been pretty lucky that way. But I've sort of, now that I've niched down, a lot of what a lot of people that reach out to me is usually brands, you know, for that make accessories and things like that there. So yeah,
how do these kind of things come about then? So like, is it always brands reaching out to yourself early on, or did you do a bit of outreach as well?
Well, early on, you reach out to brands thinking, well, I'm a YouTuber, you're going to want to work with me. And a lot of them don't even read your email. You know, so I'll be honest, that can be a bit disheartening. Especially when you're especially if it's a brand that you're really passionate about and you really like, and if you know they do a good product, and you know you're thinking, I really, really would love to feature that on my channel, and then your brand just goes, who are you? You are nobody. Go away.
Yeah.
So that's when I sort of like the first accessories I ever featured on my channel were Pataka cases, and they were my own cases that I bought. I bought the iPad case, and I bought I think I bought a wireless charging pad, and I bought a phone case and stuff, you know. And I was like, I'm going to review this because I bought this, I paid for this with my own money.
Yeah.
And quite a lot of the time, yeah, I mean, I have built up quite a good relationship with a lot of brands, something that I'm very, very grateful for. But there is a fair amount of stuff as well that I just do by myself, you know, because if I want to get it on the channel, and if I don't have a relationship with a brand, well, I'm still a consumer at the end of the day, you know, so I'm still going to buy it. And then if the brand reaches out to me later and say, listen, I've seen your video and, you know, I liked it, I'd like to work with you, then fair enough. And if not, well, I'll still buy it anyway, you know, so.
Yeah, at the start, you've got to be prepared to have skin in the game. If you're not putting your own money where your mouth is, why would a brand put their money there?
Definitely, you know, and that's the thing as well. It's kind of like there's people out there which I see, and you know, they go and they get accessories and stuff like that there from brands and that kind of thing, and it's not even what their channel's about, you know. And you kind of look at it and go, you're maybe taking an opportunity away from somebody else, you know, to maybe do an in-depth review and, you know, that kind of thing. That's another side of the game, you know, which is hard to take at times. You know, when you see a brand and you know that you're passionate about it and you want to work with them, and then you see them working with other creators and they're not even in the niche.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like that stings a bit. But
yeah, they've got to be aiming. They've got to have like a different idea there, maybe more of a brand recognition campaign than an actual sales campaign that they would get from like a case review. But when they contact you, then do they have any kind of, what expectations do they set when they send you something, or do they leave you completely up to you?
Well, this is the side of product reviews which can get a little fuzzy, right? So what I would say to people is, and it took me a long time to sort of realize this as well. If a company wants to send you something, that is not a form of payment, and that's something that a lot of people get really confused with. A lot of people will get sent a product and they'll think, right, they've sent this to me, I need to make this video, and then some brands will then come back to you and go, right, well, we want this deadline, we want you to say this, this, and this. We don't want you to say this, this, and this. And we need you to post it in a week. And you're going, that's a lot of work for nothing. You know? And don't get me wrong, there's other brands out there which I have worked with, even for the first time, that have reached out to me and they've been like, right, listen, Michael, we want to talk business with you, and we want to talk, you know, let's talk money. And I'm like, let's not. Let's see how we go. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to be. So, you know, there is a bit of an expectation there. If someone does send you something for free, that's not a form of payment, you know. And by all means, if it is a product that you're excited about and that kind of thing, and you want to build a relationship with a brand, yeah, that's fantastic. But never ever let them dictate to what you do or say. Always maintain your credibility, because the minute they ask you to say something that's maybe not true or maybe you don't agree with, that's then when your credibility then goes down. So that's something I've never dictated to. And when a brand has done that, I've been 100% polite and just said, listen, what you're asking for is normally what you would get in a paid collaboration. So if it's something you wish to discuss, by all means, no problem. But if you are looking to send me a free product, I am happy to check the product out and review it. But what I will say will be truthful, it'll be honest, and that's the way it'll be. So, and 90% of brands will have no issue with that, no issue whatsoever, and that's really good. And then that's how you build up these great relationships. And I have some real fantastic relationships with a lot of brands, which I'm really, really thankful for. So a lot of it has been organic as well. Believe it or not, I did reach out to a lot of brands when I first started out my channel, but then as things sort of progress and snowball, they come to you, you know. So if you're doing it right, the way I sort of look at it is, if you're doing it right, they'll come to you.
Yeah.
If you're not doing it right, then if you do reach out to a brand will sort of maybe tell you in a nice way, you know, what you maybe should be doing or what you should be sort of saying, you know, because keywords is a very, very important thing as well. That's the thing I find, especially there's creators out there, especially in the States, that review products and accessories, and they say things in different words and terminologies that I don't say because I've got a funny accent and a twang.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes they come across a bit more eloquent, let's say, whereas, you know, I'm a Northern Iron man, you know, so it's sort of, it's trying to translate it across properly as well, you know. So there's been some brands that I've worked with, and they've actually said, you know, we love your videos, but maybe try saying these words. And then when you sort of go, initially you maybe go, why, what's wrong with the way I speak?
Yeah.
But then, excuse me, but then you sort of take a step back and you maybe watch back an old video and you go, do you know what, you're right. And I understand what you're saying. So, yeah.
It sounds like you're doing it in a really good way, where it's, if someone sends you something and you're not quite happy with it, keeping it super professional, because realistically, the people in those roles reaching out to you, they might not be seasoned professionals in that role, and they could be learning as they're going, like you are. Yeah. So keeping it professional is a great way to go, and they are learning along with you, really, if you're just getting started as well, dealing with brands.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to maintain professionalism. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of brands as well where I haven't been scared to turn around and tell them, listen, the way you're conducting yourself is not professional. And, you know, it does work. Everybody that loves good feedback, and if you can't take feedback, you maybe shouldn't be doing it. You know? So it's one of those things.
Yeah. Well, the next question was going to be about any pitfalls that you might want to avoid, but I feel like we've covered that quite well there. I think people are going to find this like really, really helpful. But we'll move on to the next section then, because Mike, I love a bit of tech talk. So what do you use to create your YouTube videos then? I'm talking camera, mic, laptop.
Currently?
Yeah, currently.
Currently, I use a 2-camera setup. So I have a desk which has a rig. I don't know why I'm doing this because you can't see, but I have a desk rig here, which houses then my overhead camera, which is a Sony ZV-1, which was my very first camera that I bought for the channel. When I first started, I used my iPhone just, and then quickly realized I need a camera. So got a camera, and then that was my point and shoot camera for everything. And then about a year ago, I think, I got the Sony ZV-E10, which is currently what I'm shooting on right now. So, and that's my A-roll camera, as I would call it, and then my ZV-1 would be my overhead top-down shot camera. Then I'm currently using the DJI wireless mics, which are good job. I'm using wireless mics simply because in here it used to be my garage, but I converted it into like an office / studio space, and rather than try and pad out all the walls, I'd rather just have the mic on me, and then it helps with the reverb. So so I have them, and I have the Rode Wireless Go's as well. Got the Rode Wireless Go 2. That's really my video and audio equipment. And then I've just various wee bits of lights and bits and bobs that I've picked up along the way as well. So
what are you editing on then?
My iPad Pro. Mainly.
iPad editor?
Yeah. I don't know why, because I don't mind Final Cut, and I do have a MacBook Air. I have an M1 MacBook Air, and I have Final Cut, DaVinci, and LumaFusion all on it. But for some reason, I can't seem to get away from LumaFusion. Especially on the iPad, it's so good. For it being so minimal, it does so much, and that's what I primarily edit on. So, and I think that's really down to Thunderbolt, because I have a Thunderbolt SSD, and once I shoot my footage, I put it onto the SSD, and then I just edit directly on from the SSD, and then I can upload it straight to YouTube from the program.
Yeah, so I started really editing on my phone, then edited in DaVinci, then Final Cut, and I'm going back to DaVinci now. So this will be the first one that's edited on DaVinci again. Fingers crossed, anyway. Nice.
Why are you switching back to DaVinci, out of curiosity?
It feels like there's more there. It feels like I can get my teeth into it a bit more. Like, I don't know, I just like to tinker. It looks like there's loads of options there.
Yeah.
The first time I stopped doing it is because I was trying to do some kind of graphics on it. And I think it took me 3 hours because I was learning, and it didn't save. And so I did it again another day, and it didn't save again. And then I was like, I'm done. Like, let's try something else. But
it's nothing worse than a project that goes into the bin, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Or a broken memory card, or an SSD that corrupts. That's happened to me so many times, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, but I'm just editing on there now. I'm not trying to do anything fancy. It's just good. I'm not putting myself through it again.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I'm going to have to cast your mind back a bit now then. Do you remember what the first purchase you made was to like up the quality of your videos?
Softbox.
Really?
Yeah.
Unusual one, that one.
It was literally because I was shooting with my iPhone, my 12 Pro Max, I think it was. And out in here I have like fluorescent tube lights, and they're dreadful. So and I was talking to a friend of mine who's a videographer, and I was like, my videos look really rubbish, and he actually said to me, he says, get a softbox. And I was like, I don't know what to get, and he actually gave me one, and he says, literally. Just turn all your other lights out, get a softbox, sit yourself in front of it. He says you'll night and day. And it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So you can actually, if you go back far enough, if I haven't archived off a lot of stuff, but if you go back far enough, you can literally see in one video where like the video is really poor, and then it'll just change because then it's just a light.
Yeah, you've got an Amazon Alexa video, and it's like the whole room's the same lighting. And then your more recent ones, it's a lot more.
That was in my kitchen.
To it. Was it?
that's where I started, in the kitchen. Yeah, and that was just the lights in the kitchen. And then that was before I moved out here, and then I sort of shot videos out here while I was converting it, and then it was like, yeah, that looks really bad. that was so bad.
Yeah, lights are going to be.
They're not an expensive thing. They really aren't. Like a single. Like, obviously, there's different levels to it. You know, there's softboxes that you can change the color on, you can change the tone and the temperature and all that sort of stuff. But literally, the one I used was literally just a single softbox with a bulb, and it was an on and off, and it was a white light, and it was great. Yeah. And I'm actually using it right now.
That's going to be my next purchase. So I've got a ring light, which is just up there, but there's a nice space there to get a big softbox in. So that's going to be my next purchase. My first purchase was actually a microphone that just plugged into the phone, because people just kept complaining about the sound, and people still complained about the sound. So now I've got this, and no one's complained since. So there we go.
Yeah. Well, that was my second purchase then after that microphone.
So I'm going to move on to this next section now then, which is called Ask 10. Working title. It's been 5 episodes now, so it's stuck. But it's going to be 10 questions to find out more about your relationship with YouTube. So I'll hit you with question 1. Out of creating thumbnails, titles, or filming, what do you spend the most time on?
Titles.
Really?
Yeah.
What sort of process?
Titles are sometimes really struggle with titles and keywords. Like sometimes it's really tough. Like I could have a video in my head and know straight away what the thumbnail's going to look like, and be like, right, that's what that's going to look like, and then just when I'm doing the SEO parts of the video, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to call this. I don't know what words to use. So yeah, definitely titles.
Yeah, I'm actually the complete opposite. So how you are with thumbnails, where you've got this idea of what it's going to look like, that's how I am with titles. Like, really? I'll be thinking of the video that I want to make, and while I'm thinking of the video, there's like 10 titles. I've got like 10 titles to choose from.
No, I really wish I could be quicker off the mark with titles and keywords. I do struggle with that. I really do.
Yeah, writing titles is like an art form anyway. Like, if you want to get really, really good at it,
you can really tell the channels which have guys that have come from marketing, because their keywords are always perfect.
Yeah.
You're like, that's so frustrating.
Yeah. So YouTube Studio then, how often do you check YouTube Studio?
A lot. A lot, especially lately. Because I've been posting so much content recently, and quite a lot of it has just went, and straight away you're in the studio, right, how's it doing? Right, what's the retention? Like, when are people leaving? You know, it's just into the analytics and just refresh. It becomes an obsession. It's so bad.
Every day I'm checking it 3, maybe 4 times, and when I speak to some people, I'm like, I just post a video and hope for the best. It's like, I wish I could be like that. Like,
I'll confess, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning and I lift my phone is I open YouTube Studio.
That's exactly what I do as well. It's such a bad habit, but I can't help myself.
Like, before I check anything else, YouTube Studio.
Yeah.
And then just throughout the day, just refresh.
So let's say then Michael Talks Tech gets deleted overnight, and you had to start again, but you had to pick a different niche. What kind of videos would you be making?
Either cars or...
I saw the Tesla video.
Yeah. I come from a family of petrol heads, and I would love to say I'm mechanically minded, but I'm really not. But my dad and my brother, they're mechanics and just petrol heads, so literally it's straight over. It would be cars, definitely, or football maybe.
My dad loves his cars. He's never been more disappointed in his 3 sons that none of us are into cars.
So, well, I'll let you in on a little secret. The sponsor of my Tesla video is my dad.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't think my dad would sponsor one of these.
So when he, my dad's a car dealer. So when he got the Model 3 Performance in, he was like, "Oh, you should come over and see this." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." So I went over and had a look at it and all, and I was like, "Okay." And then it hit me like a light bulb, and I was like, "You're going to sponsor my video, and I'm going to review this." And he just went, "Right." I was like, "Bomb, let's do it." So there's a little secret for you.
Tesla videos translate so well to the tech niche, though. It is like, it's so tech related.
Well, yeah, it's the best of both worlds, isn't it? It's a decent looking car. It goes like stink, and it's full tech. It's right up my street.
So the next question then, have you ever been recognised from the work that you've done on YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah. It sounds like there's a story behind that.
Yeah. So the when I went into my local O2 shop, and I literally was going in to get blank SIM cards, because obviously getting phones in, you're swapping SIMs and you're doing all sorts of stuff, and then I always like to have my first rule as a phone reviewer is always have a collection of blank SIM cards and blank eSIMs in case something screws up and you need to swap your number over onto a new SIM. So every so often, if I misplace blank SIMs, I'll go in and I'll pick them up. So I went into the O2 shop, and the guy behind the counter says, "Yeah, how's it going?" I was like, "Can I get 5, 10? Can I get 5 blank SIM cards and 5 blank eSIMs?" And he just looked at me. He was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Oh, because I swap phones a lot and all that sort of stuff." And he was like, And he was just looking at me. And he was like, "Right, okay." So he went away and he got me the SIM cards, and he came back, and he was doing what he was doing, and he looked up at me again. And I was like, "Are you okay?" Like, kind of weirded me out. Like, and he goes, "Are you on YouTube?" And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Michael's text," and I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I watch your channel, man." And I was like, "Okay." And it was just so surreal, because then he was like, "Oh man," he says, "I love your videos." He says, "Because I've seen you walk in here," and I was like, "I know a guy's face from somewhere," and he couldn't place me. So it was literally, I was so taken aback by it, and yeah, that was surreal for me. And my missus was like, "Well, that was weird." So yeah, and then ever since, I've had other people say things like that, to me, like people that sort of know me, and then people that are friends of, my friends of friends kind of thing, will say, "Oh yeah, I've seen your videos and stuff." If you see them on a night out or whatever, and you're like, "Oh, cheers." So yeah, there's been a few. So as the channel's starting to grow, even today, I got a comment on a video today from obviously somebody from here saying, "The last thing I thought I'd find today is a Northern Ireland person doing a tech video," and I was like, "Wow." so yeah, it's pretty surreal.
Could you imagine if you were there and someone came in to buy like 10 blank SIM cards? He's staring at you. I'd be thinking, he definitely thinks I'm a drug dealer or something.
Because that was kind of what I was expecting. I was literally going to say to him, "I'm not a drug dealer."
Yeah. Is he going to call the police? We don't know.
You know, like, is this going to be something from Line of Duty? You know, all these burner phones. I was like, no, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
It's definitely not as exciting as that.
But
So yeah, that was really surreal.
I must have gone. I think I went a good 3 years posting videos, and they were getting some good views. And then I had my first one that got over 100,000 views. And I went into work the next day, and the guy was like, I saw you. I was on YouTube, and I clicked on this video, and it was you. And I was like, yeah, yeah. And then I went to my friend's wedding a couple of weeks later, and everyone's like, oh, I saw that specific video. It was really weird because it's the first time like any of my friends or family have even seen one of my videos.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
So, how long ago was it when you first uploaded to YouTube?
It was October 2021.
Just after the start of the pandemic, then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because it was during lockdown that I created the channel, but never uploaded anything. And then I think my first upload was in there. I think I created the channel in June or July 2021, and then I uploaded my first video in the October.
So that's 3 years ago. Well,
Yeah,
nearly
3 years. Yeah.
So,
Wow.
what would Michael from today? What advice would you give Michael from 3 years ago when it comes to YouTube?
Just relax. You know, like my very first video was a literal welcome to my channel video, and it's not even a minute. It's not even 90 seconds long. It was just a hello, welcome to my channel, blah blah blah, and it took me 3.5 hours. you just getting nervous and then all these different takes and messing up my words and if I could go back in time and see that version, I'd be like, just be yourself, because that's all. When people click on you, that's what they want to see. So just relax and enjoy it.
Yeah, like I've been talking my whole life. You put a camera in front of me, you wouldn't think that.
Well, I kind of have that problem myself, to be honest. I'm famous for nipping down to the shop for a pint of milk and coming back an hour later, and my missus will go, "Who are you talking to?"
Yeah.
Just happens.
I don't know. I went out for a milk and it got away from me.
It just happens.
So why did you start a YouTube channel then? What was the catalyst behind that?
It's something I always wanted to do, and because I love tech, I love gadgets, I love toys, and it was always something that I always wanted to do, because I seen all my favorite creators like doing similar sort of things, and I was like, oh, I'd love to do that. And like I said previously, I was a guy that I worked with that just literally just said to me, well, why don't you? And I was like, yeah, why don't I? And I thought, do you know what? It's now or never. And I'm sitting here with all this time in my hands because we weren't allowed to go outside, we weren't allowed to do anything. And I thought, do you know what? Why not? Roll the dice, see what happens.
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. So, and I'll be honest, it's first 3 years have been a pretty fun journey. I'll be honest. There's been highs and lows, but I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change anything that's happened along the 3 years. Not at all, because every day is a school day. Every day is a learning curve.
Yeah, early on I made the mistake. I started a channel because I thought this is missing. There's obviously a space for this. And it was more the statistics that drew me to create those kind of videos. And then you get a couple of years down the line thinking, this isn't fun. So that's what I'm starting with this channel. This is fun. And I've got my tech channel as well where I talk about pixels because I love pixels. So now I'm treating it as fun. I'm trying to keep it consistent, keeping it as fun. And that's definitely the best way to go into it.
Yeah. I can actually see in your background, there's the box of my favourite pixel in the whole world.
Which one's that?
Is that the 4XL? Or is it just the 4? Ah, there it is.
The 4XL. The SIM card's in it right now.
There it is. That, for me, I'm a bit of a sidetracking, but for me, that is peak pixel. Oh, so good. I still, even now, when I see the Pixel 4 XL, it just gives me a wee fuzzy feeling. It really
Yeah.
does.
My favourite Pixel was the 2XL for so long, and then I got this one. I was like, it's
So good.
It is. It's great.
There's so many features of that phone that I would love to see now on the new Pixels. Like squeeze for Google Assistant. Oh, how good was that? It was so good.
I miss that every day.
Yeah.
This one in particular has got some serious security issues that they never fixed. So that's like the face unlock works with your eyes closed, and if it's next to you and someone else picks it up, it's already unlocked as well. So it's not, yeah. So it's not a best everyday phone today, but it's still great to like use every now and again.
Still epic.
Yeah.
It's got no ultra wide lens either, but it's still epic.
Yeah, like when you're using these old phones, you accept its character. It's not missing something. It's
and
just
that's exactly what the 4XL had. It had character. Yeah,
definitely.
That's the perfect word. See, I'm not good with keywords.
Yeah. So 3 years in now, then. So what would you rate your videos out of 10?
Oh, don't ask me
Yeah. That's a really interesting answers to this one.
I don't know. 5, maybe.
What do you think would knock it up to the 6
then? Good question. Good question.
Yeah. It seems to catch everyone off guard. Everyone spends so much time working on the YouTube videos. You get really buried in it. And now you've been asked to like step back. What can I do to bump up the quality a bit?
Yeah, because when you sort of think of quality and you think, you're shooting in 4K and you've got decent audio and stuff. I think another person to bounce off. I've done a few videos with my wife, so it was a bit sneaky, to be honest. We had both got was it 14 Pro Max? I think it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, because it was the purple one. And Casetify, not really a good name to shout about anymore, I suppose. But Casetify and Kudabi. Kudabi is one of my most favourite brands. Oh, they're such nice people, and their cases are beautiful. Anyway, they sent me across cases to review, and Kudabi especially sent me a purple one. And I was like, well, obviously I'm not going to use a purple one, but my wife's phone is purple. So I was like, here, what do you think of this case? And she was like, oh, here, I like that. It's quite rugged and this, that, and the other. And I was like, great, because you're going to review it. And she went, what? And I was like, yeah. I said, because, I'll need to review the case, but I can't really review a purple one, because, I'm a big, rugged, strong man. So why don't you do it? And like a good sport, she did it. And her video was absolutely brilliant. And the brands loved her as well. And yeah, we had a lot of fun shooting those videos. And I don't know if you've seen them on my channel, but every year at the end of every year I do a blooper reel. So I'll fill out videos with like all the mistakes and gags and all the screw ups basically. And our 2022 blooper reel, in my opinion, is absolutely hilarious, and it's all Kylie. It's like she's just hilarious on it. So I think sorry, I'm a bit long-winded, but to answer your question, I think another person to sort of bounce off in videos, would take the entertainment factor up a little bit more. So yeah, that would be my answer to that one.
That does open up another door, really, because I think in the UK particularly, it seems, is that the YouTube community, as in YouTubers themselves, seems quite fragmented. You see a lot of American YouTubers on each other's channels and doing stuff like that. And I think I've only been invited to one YouTube event, and it was when I was at a wedding. It was in Birmingham, so like not far away from me as well. And I couldn't go. And I was like, I've never been invited to another one since. I was like, that's such a missed opportunity to meet other people creating stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I feel a little bit disconnected again because I'm in Northern Ireland, so the closest part to me would be mainland UK, and then that's another divide, kind of thing. So, but I don't know. Maybe should I tell you this? I've been invited to an event.
We can cut it out. Which event have you been invited to?
I'm going to a Snapdragon Insiders event.
Ooh, where's that one? Is that London?
Manchester, with Man United.
No way.
Yeah. And I'm a Man United fan, so I'm like, oh my, can't believe it. So yeah, and I was talking to somebody who informed me that there's a pretty big American YouTuber going as well. So I'm kind of like, what? So yeah, I think I can say it. So yeah, it'll be fine.
If we can't, just message me. We'll cut it out.
It'll be fine. So I'm going to Snapdragon Insiders event. So
that sounds really cool.
And that's my first event that I've sort of been invited to. But I agree with you. There's not enough for YouTube creators, especially in the UK. Like, you see all these like vid summits and vidcons and stuff in the States, and you're like, wow, I'd love to go to that. And then there's very, very little over here. So
I did get an email from
we should start a revolution.
So TubeBuddy are coming to the UK. They're going to Birmingham as well. That's not like an invitation thing. They just sent me an email saying, buy a ticket, £200 or something, and come for the day. So we might have missed that. That might have already gone. But I definitely got one of those emails recently.
Try and bump your way in for free.
Yeah. No.
Just turn up and be like, I don't know who I am.
Yeah, but that's part of why I'm doing this, is to like meet other YouTubers in the UK.
Yeah.
Literally, the first 5 people that I've emailed have all replied. Like, you're the 5th one. And then since that, no one's replied. Like, the sort of what I'm after to get people on the channel is posting consistent videos. Like, it doesn't have to be a massive YouTuber. Like, just someone that's committed to like trying to grow a YouTube channel. And I think you can learn a lot off even like smaller YouTubers if they're committed and posting regularly. But that does bring me quite onto this next question then. Is there anything that caught you off guard about creating on YouTube that you weren't expecting? Was anything a lot harder than you thought it might be, or was something like really easy and you thought, I thought that was going to be quite a big hurdle to get over?
One thing I would say took me by surprise, in this day and age, for the sheer amount of trolls and hate that people get on the internet on a daily basis, the kindness of people took me by surprise, because I was honestly expecting to get a lot of just trolly people, and I'll be honest, touch wood, I haven't had a massive amount of people giving me trolls and that kind of thing, and 90% of the comments I get are all really supportive and encouraging, and that kind of took me by surprise because I kind of expected it to be worse. When you go onto the likes of Facebook these days and you see some of the things that people say, you kind of think, oh, I don't really want that smoke. But the kindness of people will definitely takes me by surprise. When you see people saying, oh, I loved your video, when's the next one, or that kind of thing, you're like, wow, I must be doing something right.
Yeah, that puts a lot of people off worrying about the comments. But for me, largely, it's so encouraging. People are willing you to do well. I feel like negative comments might be something that you come up against as you're growing quite a lot. But when you're getting started, people want to see you do well.
A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, who I will send him this video, so I'll make sure he watches it. A very good friend of mine, early doors when I did get some sort of hateful comments, I screenshotted it and sent it to him and was like, here we go. And he just wrote back to me, and what he said to me put it in a real different perspective, and he just went, well, looks like this YouTube thing's going to work out for you.
Yeah.
And I went, what do you mean by that? And he says, if you're getting trolls, you're doing something right. And I went, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So he says if you've made a video and someone has felt triggered enough to comment and talk a lot of rubbish to you, then
You've said something compelling.
you've said something right. And I was like, right, that's a different way of looking at it. And that's what I sort of say. My wife has actually started her own YouTube channel, and she's been a bit slow at getting content out and stuff. And part of the reason is she's worried what people will say. And I'm like, don't do that. Like, people that'll come out to support you will properly support you, and the people that don't, there's a hide button. It's all good.
Yeah, it's glorious as well, because you feel like you're getting one over on them because they don't even know that their comments don't show up. You're wasting their time.
Yeah.
That brings us on to this last question then. So to round it off quite nicely, have you set yourself any goals for the next 12 months?
Get invited to an event.
Yeah. just tick it off.
Yeah. I will say, actually, one of my goals for this year, I'm actually doing right now, and is to do more with other creators. So I'm a big believer in YouTube creators supporting each other, and when creators like yourself, and I was recently on with Dave, Hi Cave Dave, the legend.
Yeah.
I was on with him, and yeah, great time on his podcast. And I've said, like, I want to do more collabs, and I want to do more working with other people, because YouTube can be quite a lonely place. And recently there, myself and a couple of other creators have we've a couple of group chats set up, and it's nice just to chat to guys and chuck ideas about, and if you're working on a thumbnail or working on a project, maybe chuck in some concepts and think, guys, what do you think of that? And then get a bit of feedback and stuff. It's a great way to be. So just maintain the consistency, work with some more creators, and just enjoy it.
Michael, that's all great, and I can't thank you enough for coming on and making the time for doing this.
Not at all.
I'm going to
Apologies it took me so long to get back to you.
No, it's fine.
Things were so crazy busy. Next time I won't be, though, because there will be a next time.
Oh, perfect. So I'm going to link all your links down in the description, your YouTube channel, your Twitter. Is there anything that you want to give a specific shout out to?
I'll give a shout out to my group chat buddies. You know who you are.
Yeah, shout out to the group chat.
Love a wee group chat.
Before I let you go then, are there any creators in the UK or Ireland that you think I should get on?
Yes. So, good friend of mine, Paul Rankin. Give him a shout. He's a good guy. And another guy, Luke Tech Reviews is his channel. Very, very underrated channel. He's, I think he's on, last time I checked, I think he was on like 560 subscribers or something. But you see the quality of his videos and his B-roll. Oh man, chef kiss. He is fantastic. Great guy. So I would definitely give him a shout. And I would say I Cave Dave, but you've already got him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll message you if I think any other ones off the top of my head.
No, that's perfect. That's plenty to go at. I'll definitely be dropping him a message.
Yeah, definitely give those guys a shout.
No, perfect. Thanks again.